All right, y'all, we are live. So, Black professional women are often told that their strength is intimidating, but is it making men feel unnecessary? Today, I'm sitting down with my brother, Dr. L, who is a relationship coach, so we can get the real from the male perspective. If you are just joining me, I am Marshaun O. I am a shift relationship strategist, and I serve Black professional women to help them with their confidence, their clarity, as well as their connection when they are ready to go back out into the dating scene. So that's why I serve. Thank you so much for coming here. Like as you come into the room. I am now going to open up to the floor to my special guest, Dr. L. Dr. L, please introduce yourself to the audience today.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate being here. I am a retired police officer who got bored in his retirement and went back to school and got a doctorate. So that was when the pandemic hit. Yeah, and I'm also a life coach. And yes, I forgot about having a relationship coach certification. So yeah, I am. So I do all that kind of stuff. I'm an adjunct professor, author, father, all that kind of good stuff, and just trying to make the most out of life. And I too want to help men to become the best versions of themselves. I grew up with a lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of problems, product of a single mother home, and I know about the internal struggles that men have as they are developing. My mother was an incredibly weak person, or not weak, but meek individual, and so unfortunately, a lot of that meekness transferred is seen as weakness by other people, and that transferred to me. And then when I became a police officer, you can't be that way, right? You got to stand up for yourself. You got to speak your mind. So for me, the police department was definitely a baptism by fire. Really helped to transform me into the man that I am today. And then I think I'm semi-professional, semi-successful in the things that I do. But we'll see how professional I am on the show, because I like to have laughs. I'm not one of those stuffy academics, even though I have a PhD. I like to laugh and have a good time. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. So.
Perfect. Okay, so and you might have mentioned this, but maybe I missed it. Is that why you got into coaching, specifically coaching?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I always there's a number of different avenues, but let me just put it like this. I always wanted to help people, right? So I grew up in church, and for a long time I was a minister in the church. So I wanted to, I did all that. Yeah, I'm just a jack of all trades over here.
Okay.
So I wanted to help people, and just increase our presence in the community, increase our standing in the community. I wanted to look at how things were going for Black men. What's up with us, in particular when I became a police officer. What's up with our Black arrest rates? How come the Black community don't really like the police, and all that kind of stuff? So yeah, that's how I got into a lot of this type of this environment in coaching, and just wanting to help people become the best version of themselves. So it's through a ministry, through my time. I coached for a long time for little kids. So all that kind of stuff is just me just kind of giving back. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. I was very curious, because I'm like, well, I don't know if he mentioned it, but how did he actually get into coaching? So now I can hear the correlation and connection. So okay, so we are diving into a sensitive topic, but I want to just jump right in. Thank you so much for coming in. Good evening to NYC Chocolate 7777, right? Deborah Hutchinson, Y Squared 73. Yoli, looking forward to the great discussion. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in. As you're coming in, hit the like button, send this to your friends, because we're trying to get the real and try to understand from a male's perspective. If we are boss women, right there, right out there, powerhouse women versus masculinity. So with that being said, Doc, let's jump into the first question. When you hear the phrase strong, independent woman, what actually comes to your mind? And even some of the mind of some of your friends and colleagues that you may have heard, strong, independent woman, what actually comes up?
Wow, what a question to start off with. I don't know if I can roll my eyes hard enough in order to hear that. And I mean, I try to look into this type of stuff from a social lens, and then as well as an academic lens. Like, why are Black women in particular talking this way? So I'll just try to keep this brief. But I hear a lot of pain. I hear a lot of anger. I hear a lot of frustration. Those are the things that I tend to hear when I hear that type of terminology. No one else talks this way, uh, and no one else talks this way, particularly. You don't hear Asian people talking like this and this, that, and the other. So there's a particular dynamic. I don't know how far you want to go into this, but there's a particular dynamic that Black women have had to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all I hear is having to deal with that, and so yeah, that's what I hear.
Okay, you say you don't know how deep I want to go into it. Let's go into it a little bit deeper. Where were you going with it?
Um, so just the experience of Black American women, we are, as Black people, essentially still, even though might not want to call it this, we're still essentially kind of enemy combatants and enemy prisoners of war. Now,
Mm-hmm.
it's true that we can leave. It's true that we can go to the mother continent and go to anywhere else and live, which is not as bad as it used to be, clearly. But um, we still have a lot of psychological damage that happened to us through slavery, and in my estimation, happened more through Jim Crow. And so, when you take a look at what happened to the Black family, um, the destruction of the Black family, the lynchings,
Mm-hmm.
the refusal to hire Black men, and the persecution of Black men, be it the drug war, be it mass incarceration, lynchings, as I've said, the
Mm-hmm.
refusal to allow us to go to colleges, to refusal to allow us to enter into certain trade unions, all this type of stuff has emasculated the Black man. And then who was left to take care of the family in mass, or in a collective sense? And that was Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in some spaces, the Moynihan report, and I was just looking into this the other day, the Moynihan report talks about this emasculation that happened to Black men. And really, that's what was supposed to be corrected. When you look at the 1960s, the correction that was supposed to be was supposed to occur was towards the Black man, so that he could be on par, get the same wages as white men, go to the same schools, and then if he got the same education, he could be in the same place as white men. Well, white men couldn't have that, so you get the feminist movement, who came in and took and hijacked what was supposed to be for the Black man, and then gave it to essentially to the women. So when a Black man, or any man really, but when Black men didn't pay child support, for example, we got mass incarceration, we got arrested, we got our driver's license taken away.
Mm-hmm.
But women, they got college educations, they got help with um, their children, and because you don't want to see the children suffering and all that. So those are things that happened. Just one example of things that have happened to Black men that have intentionally kept us down.
Mm-hmm.
And the women have had to come up and say, we're strong, independent of our men. Strong, independent of who? Independent of what? Independent of our men. Asian women don't talk like this. Native American women don't talk like this. To my understanding, no other Native persons talk like this in New Zealand or Australia. They don't talk about being independent of their men.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying is a problem that the Black community really needs to confront.
Okay. Okay. So I think I already know the answer, but I'm still going to ask you, which is when you think about this question, do you think that men and women define independent, strong woman differently?
That may be true. That may be true. Um, yeah, that may be true. I mean, you're asking me, do I think that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what would you define it as? What would you define it as?
I would say there's definitely some pain behind it, but I also think that it's become a negative connotation. In the beginning, it really was an empowerment movement or an empowerment stance for Black women. Um, and I think that because we've said it so much, and then you have the attitude that kind of goes along with, I don't need nobody, I'm strong and independent. It becomes more of a negative. It has a negative outlook on the phrase itself. But I think in the beginning, it was really to empower Black women specifically, because we were, just like you said, we were having to take the torch for all plethora of reasons why our Black men were being taken away from us. And so we did have to take care of the family. So I thought that I believe that it started positive and now it's become more negative, because I would say some of the younger generation has taken it and ran with it. Where again, it's looked at where I don't need anybody. I don't think in the beginning it was for, well, I don't need no man. It was more of, I have to do this. I can do this. I am strong and independent because I really don't have a choice but to be strong and independent.
Right. So I agree with about 3/4 of what you said there, but I think that the independent, excuse me, I think the feminist narrative of wanting equality and in enticing Black women to join in with that. Again, white women don't talk like this. White women don't talk about being strong and independent, and that was the movement was for them. They're not independent of their men. Many of the feminists, white, particularly feminists, went home in the 1960s and 70s, went home to their husbands. so while we had the man in the house rule, and we only had the man in the house rule because Black women and men were paid less for the same jobs, all this type of stuff that we have corrected, rightfully so. It was just sometimes it was easier for the Black man to not be there so he could get more money versus the other route of him working. So it's a complex issue, but yeah, I just think that white women today are not talking like that. They're just not talking like that. They may think it, and some of them do say that they don't want to be married, and some I've heard that's true that they are saying that. But the narrative that started, and I agree with you that the narrative that started then turned into this craziness of the neck rolling. I don't need no man. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. For those of you who are coming in, drop a comment in the comment section if you've ever been told that you are too independent in a relationship. Are you too independent in your relationship? Okay, let's move forward. When you hear the phrase, excuse me, from your experience coaching men, right? Do you hear or do they ever feel unnecessary when they're dating high achieving or successful women? And not just Black women, but women, period.
That's a good question. All right, ask me the question again. Do they feel that they're not?
Do they ever feel unnecessary when they're dating a high achieving or a successful woman?
Yes. Because high achieving women essentially have everything that they need or want and or can provide it for themselves. So I think traditionally men have been the providers and protectors. And I've said numerous times, and matter of fact, I made a video today talking about that. It'll drop tomorrow morning, talking about this very thing, that we are just not needed in that way that we were years ago in the plains of Africa, where we all evolved from or on. The man went out there, he hunted down and made sure the saber-tooth tiger stayed at bay, and then hunted the big game, and then kept the warring tribes away. It was the men who did that, the protection and provision. Women today don't need that. You can buy your own firearm, you can buy a couple of dogs, you can get home security system, you got the military and the police protecting you. So you don't need us as much as you did, if at all.
Okay, so in your coaching, or if you're coaching, when this conversation comes up, do you give them solutions or tools or anything to say this is how you can be needed more or in a different way?
No, what I focus on is making sure that they become the best version of themselves. So get out of this rut of depression, get out of your basement, stop telling yourself you need to be needed, even though that's difficult. So I tell them to move in that direction. But the truth of the matter is that the things that men want from an instinctual level, and that I would argue that women want on an instinctual level, you're able to get that in another way. So men have to adjust to this environment. And if they do happen to meet a woman who's willing to be needed or get on their program. That's why a lot of times, that's why men essentially marry and date down, because they want somebody who's going to be needed in some way, some form, or some fashion. It's not because we want to be dominant, it's because that's what they want. And ladies, a lot of times too, I'm sure we'll get to this, want somebody who's above them in some way or capacity. So usually socioeconomic or even educational or intelligence, right? So
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit more. The men dating down and the woman wanting essentially him to be a higher up. Let's hear your thoughts and opinions on this dynamic.
yeah, I think that's the way that evolution has kind of programmed us. Whether I don't know if you, I think you believe in God, whatever you believe in God, or whatever your Christian faith or whatever your faith is. I think that they all kind of have this same similarity to them, is that there is uh, a desire for a woman to have someone who's going to be a provider and to be a protector. Women are, not as strong as men. They are vulnerable when they're pregnant. They are not physically as capable of men, so they want someone who's going to be able to protect them. That's why
Mhm.
you have strong, independent women who are successful still talking about they need a man who's 6'5". There's no
Mhm.
need, there's no reason to have a man who's that tall. There's just no need for it in this day and this time, right? You have other means of protection. One of the biggest ways a man can protect you is to move you out of a dangerous neighborhood and move you into a more a nicer neighborhood. That's a form of protection, right?
Mhm.
But that isn't looked at, right? So a guy who's 5'2" and working in IT can do that for you, but you don't want that guy, right? So that's an innate issue, or something that's innate in ladies, and in the same time in men. I don't know if we're consciously doing that, but it just happens to work out that way. um I think that's probably something we can probably debate and talk about. I know guys who are 6'5", excuse me, and they want tall women, because they don't want to be bending down when they're kissing them and whatever.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
so I don't know if all that is much as a need. Um, but I definitely know for women, they really want the best of the best, the cream of the crop. So
Okay. I'm gonna move forward because I want to actually talk about the second half of this comment. So NYC Chocolate 7777 says, "Yes, I have been, but I have no other choice but to be. But I have never told a man I want to be with that he is not needed or wanted." So I wanted to ask you, and NYC Chocolate 7777, this is not personal to you per se, but I'm wondering, could she have done it without actually saying it?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Now let me just say, remind me, because I tend to go off on different tangents and stuff.
Okay.
So I had a conversation about this need versus wanted one time with a young lady, and a man. I'm going to maintain this, even though I had the conversation before. Think about it. I'm going to maintain that men need to be needed, and um, just to say that you want a man is not good enough. I think a lot of women will say that. Well, if I say I want you, that's even better because I could have anybody else, but I want to be. But if I want you here, then that means more. I'm going to maintain that men need to be needed. That it is almost instinctual that they need to know that something can't function without them. Now,
You
there's
said
certain
cannot
yeah,
function without them?
yeah, not that I want, if I'm not home for a little bit, the house is going to break down. And certainly if if something happens to me permanently, I want you to be able to survive and go on. Don't
Okay.
take what I'm saying in that respect. But I'm saying, listen, baby, I need you to open up this jar of pickles, right? I need your big strong hands to open up this jar of pickles, right? Stuff like that. It seems
Mhm.
seems pretty funny, but
Mhm.
that really does stroke a man's ego. Or if you trying to, listen, baby, I tried to put this, the TV stand together. I just can't get it. Can you help me with this? It makes
Mhm.
him feel good. It makes him feel much better. Can you probably do it? Yeah. Can
Yeah.
you run the hot water on the jar of pickles and open it up yourself? Yeah, you probably can do that. Yeah, hit the bottom of it a couple times, right? You can probably do that, right? But it's about stroking a man's ego and making him feel good, right? So
Okay.
that's why I'm saying that men need to be needed,
Okay.
in that way. If you just want me here, it's like, okay, well, I mean, you can take me or leave me, but if you need me, then I know that my presence will be here and will be appreciated and be
Mhm.
respected. And again, what men really want a lot of times is respect and loyalty and love. Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So
I'm glad that you brought that up because that was something that me personally, I never really wore the "I'm the independent strong woman" tag per se. Yes, I can do these things as you just talked about, but specifically to like opening up a jar, right, or reaching for something that's much higher. So I have to be very conscious when I'm in a relationship to actually make him feel needed in that way, like you're saying. I literally have to like, oh, wait a minute, I got somebody in the other room that can help me open up this jar or reach for the thing. I have to make a conscious effort to do it because I've been put in a role to be the provider, protector, the leader, blah, blah, blah. Right. So it's just learning how to shift that switch off or switch it off. Yeah, switch it off. So you can get back into your, lean back into your feminine so he can take the lead and make him feel needed in that way. And like you said, I laughed about that because it does seem kind of silly, right? But it is something that is true. And that's also something that I teach my women when I'm coaching them. It's like, hey, we know you can do it, babe. I totally know that you can do it. I can do it. I get it. But just chill out. Allow him to service you in that way. Allow him to protect you in that way, to be there, to show up for you, to open up the door for you, whatever the thing is that we're talking about in that moment. So I'm glad that you brought that up because I think that a lot of women have to make a conscious effort to do that. And it's a lot of times we actually forget to do it because, again, I told you, I just mentioned about the leading, protecting role that a lot of us have been put into it. So sometimes we just got to slow down and just be more aware of how we're showing up.
Yeah,
Right?
no, I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Right. And if you do that type of thing, right, what usually happens, right? You get a butt slap, right? And things might start happening, right? That's what happens,
I
right?
mean, true story, true story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a lot more fun when, um, I'm asking for help, if you will. Let's just
Yeah, absolutely. That makes it gets a man's blood going. Yeah, you know what it is.
okay. Okay. All right. So anything else to add there before I jump to the next one?
No, go ahead. No, go
Okay.
ahead.
So let's talk about insecurities. So what insecurities or narratives come up for men when they're with a woman who quote unquote has it all together?
What insecurities come up when a man has it all together?
The woman,
Excuse me,
the
when a
woman
woman has it all together. Um, yeah. I just did a video about this today. So what insecurities? I think there's a few insecurities. They want to know if what do I bring to this table? If you have all the protections, you have all these provisions, what role am I doing here? What am I needed for here? Right? Men want to be needed. They don't want to be supplementary, right? They want to be complementary, right? Complement means it's not whole. It's not whole if I'm not here, but if you got it all together, now I'm just an ornament, right? And I want to be more than just an ornament or use it recreationally. I do want to be used recreationally from time to time. What else? So they want to know that they're needed. They want to know insecurities. Can they compete with your job as far as your lifestyle and income? Can they compete with that? A man wants to be a provider. Remember, all this goes back to the caveman days, right? Or on the savannah. We want to be a protector and we want to be a provider. You got the protection through the house. You got the provision through your job. What role am I here? So those are two big things. And do I have to support this type of lifestyle? Can I support it? If you get pregnant, and can I maintain this style, right, or this lifestyle? Again, which is why women, the more successful they are, if they want to have children one day, they need a man who's at least on their level, who can support their lifestyle in case she gets pregnant or has some other type of medical situation, or in case she just says, listen, I'm tired of this job, I want to quit, right? So she wants to have that. So those are a couple of insecurities that I can think of that they would have along the way.
Okay. Any other narratives that would come up besides the insecurities?
Any narratives that come up?
Or stories that they're creating, that they're, saying over and over again?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. That's a good question. I don't know because I don't suffer from that. So I don't know. So but I haven't. I think though that's the biggest one. Any other narrative like oh yes, there would be one that she may be a problem, she may be a B. She has a mouth on her. She is
Mm-hmm.
uncooperative.
Mm-hmm.
That she's going to be a problem. She's going to be a headache. Those are definitely some big ones. I can't believe I forgot that actually. That she is going to be a headache. She's going to be a problem. She's not going to be cooperative. She's going to try to one up me all the time. She's not going to listen. She's not going to be submissive. Those are definitely things that going to be a problem.
Okay, you said several things, but one of them stood out, which is the mouth. Right? Let's talk about
It
the
all
mouth.
has to do with the mouth.
Well, specifically, well, yeah, you're right. Okay, but her having a slick mouth, a sharp tongue, saying the worst things that she can say to deflate, emasculate, whatever his manhood. Tell me or tell us when you hear
I'm just
your
going to tell
friend.
you.
Okay, perfect. Tell me about how her mouth can get in the way of him staying around for the long term, or going the distance with her, popping the question, if you will. Tell me how the mouth can help her suffer, basically.
Only an emasculated beta male is going to sit there and take mouth from a woman. So only an emasculated beta male. If you're battling with him all the time, you're arguing with him all the time, you refuse to be submissive, you refuse to get on his program, or even create a program together. If you refuse to do any of those types of things, he is not going to stick around for long. No strong alpha and sigma, I would say, no alpha and sigma man is going to stick around for a long time with a woman who is uncooperative, who's not submissive, who wants to argue, who's trying to one up them, telling him that he's wrong, telling him you didn't do it right, move out the way, I got it, I knew you couldn't do it, right? You're not going to stick around for that type of stuff. Not going to stick around for it. So if you got a man like that, you're talking to him like that, you know exactly the kind of compromised male that he is.
Ooh, why compromised? Why compromised?
Because a compromised male is going to leave. A compromised male is not, excuse me, a non-compromised male. What's the opposite of non-compromised? A non-compromised male is not going to sit there and take that. He's going to move on. You don't have to take that. You don't have to take disrespect. What I also talked about loyalty. I talked about respect. No man who's standing on his own, who has his own job, his own career, is going to stand there and be talked to any old kind of crazy way. You got 1 or 2 times to do that. I'm going to check you, and the next time you're going to watch me walk out the door. So if you got a man who's compromised, by compromise I mean he doesn't have his own job, career, car, house, home, and you just talking this man in any old kind of way, it's over. It's over.
Okay. Well, ladies, you heard it here first. You got that slick mouth. You either got a beta male if he's sticking around and taking it and going back and forth with you, or you got somebody that's just not even gonna play with you. They're not even about to play these games with you, and you're just gonna leave.
We ain't playing these games. We ain't playing these games.
Yeah. Okay, you said that with your chest, even though I can't see your chest. You said that with your chest. We ain't playing these games.
We ain't playing these games. We are not. You might be playing, but I'm not playing these games. So. I don't mean you, Marshaun.
Yeah. But we're gonna move forward because no. That's not my area. That's not my area. Okay, so I saw this comment on here. Most women only look at those extras, the emotional intelligence, after they pass the 6 feet height and 6 figures metric. Do you find that to be have some truth to it?
To a certain extent, yeah. I think this idea about men needing emotional intelligence in this day and time is really just because the women have all this other stuff that they've already met. You got the job, you got the career. Now you just want an emotionally intelligent man, whatever that means. It means different things to different people. Okay. And you just want somebody just to kind of be, a teddy bear at night, just to come home and just listen to you cry and whine about how somebody's stealing your yogurt at work or whatever. So, I just can't. I just don't do that. I don't do that. So I don't do that. And I'm not saying that a man shouldn't be able to emote, express himself, have conversations. I definitely believe you should be able to do that. But there's need for that. Okay, I need a man who's going to be. Your grandmother didn't need that. Your grandfather worked at the docks, came home and sat on cracked open a beer, and she had 12 kids. So something, so this emotional intelligence stuff is kind of comical to me. Now, I'm not saying that it's not important, and I'm not saying that your grandfather should not have been more active and present. I'm not saying that. But whole I can't deal with a man who don't know how to do. And as soon as you get a man who knows how to express himself, who tells you what the way it's going to be, and all this other stuff that we're talking about, and he's going to, you know, lay down the line, or he's going to be able to talk to you about how he's feeling. A lot of times women can't handle that. They can't handle that. So
Okay, all right. I just saw another one. If Garrett says, if a man needs a woman, he's failing her purpose, lost. If a woman only wants a man, he's only an option and will never respect him enough to be the priority he needs to be for her.
1000% agree. 1000%. If you are wanted as a man, you are I'm not gonna try to say it. Superfluous. So you are definitely just an extra in her movie, and you cannot be that way. You have to be the main. I think a man has to be the main star of the attraction. So this idea that you just want, and that was the argument that I had with a young lady one time. Well, that wasn't an argument, but it was a discussion. Like, no, I got to be more than just wanted, you know. So
okay. Rhonda was agreeing with you. Said, laugh out loud. You are not lying about opening jars, Dr. L.
Yeah, true. And then get a butt slap on the way out, right? Isn't that like mandatory?
I don't know if it's mandatory, Doc, but
it's mandatory in my house.
I don't know if it's mandatory, but it definitely happens. We got a question here from Yoli. How do we strike a balance and not become too overly dependent on a man?
By overly dependent, I guess that would be what I'm assuming she's saying is you can't do anything without him. Now, don't get me wrong. I want an intelligent woman. I want, you know, I want you to be able to do things. I want you to, you know, if I tell you to, you know, if I call you up and say, listen, baby, I need you to go on my laptop and do this, that, and the other. I don't need you asking me what's a laptop, what's a folder, what's, you know, right. Or, hey, I'm out and I need these bills paid. Can you go on to, you know, go onto the electric website and pay the bill? And you, okay, I don't know how to do this. I can't do that. Oh, just F it. I'll just do it when I, right. I just, right?
Good night.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I need that. I need that. I need you to be smart and intelligent. So, maybe part of this is like playing a role. You know, okay. I can admit that, right? So playing a role. So you probably can open a jar. You probably can do whatever, but you just make your man feel wanted. But I definitely want you to be able to handle things if I'm not around, and that's whether I'm on vacation, whether I'm in another state working on some business, whether I'm, you know, whatever. I need to be able to do things. So how do we strike a balance and not becoming too overly dependent? Well, again, get educated, know what's going on with the bills in your house, know what's going on, be able to cut the grass. You know, I go for walks. It's a very affluent neighborhood, and I see all these white ladies walking up and down with cutting the grass. To me, I'm just assuming in my mind that the guys are at work, but the woman is not just sitting at home doing nothing. She's cutting the grass. So, and I go, you know, 10 o'clock in the morning. So, so you take it for what it's worth. But I don't think that a good man really wants a dumb woman or who can't function. I don't think that.
So looks are one thing, right? But the intelligence, being able to hold a conversation that makes sense. And like you said, being able to do just some of the things around the house. If you get sick or whatever, that things, like you said earlier, things won't fall apart.
Right.
That still the house can run. We will still function until you as the man get back on your feet to get back to doing what you was doing, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
What was you said something first. I want to comment on that. What can you? Oh, never mind. If you forgot, I forgot. Go ahead.
Listen. When we in the moment, it's feeling good now. I'm not sitting here recording myself. Okay, so let's see. Somebody also said, Garrett also says, if a woman has it all, then why is she looking for a man anyway? Otherwise, she wouldn't have it all. I don't know if you said it with all this attitude, but that's the way I read it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No. Go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's just more hurt and pain talk. I got it all. I want to have it all. I don't take that stuff seriously.
Okay. What about this comment right here
Oh,
from
here's what you had to say. I'm sorry. Mr. Stu's comment reminded me. He said, definitely got to be more than a pretty face. I think a man would take a lower tier face woman, a 5 or 6.
a lower tier face? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me mute myself. I wasn't ready for that description.
I think he'll take a less pretty woman, a 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on, everybody's going to be different in the looks department, versus uh, a better looking woman if she's more cooperative. So the lower tier woman can be more cooperative, more submissive,
Mm-hmm.
and have more intelligence than a beautiful dingbat. That's how I'll put that. So.
Beautiful dingbat, man. You killing me with all this. Okay. We got Coach V in here. Be mindful. One thing I won't do is argue. Absolutely not. Won't elevate my blood pressure for some nonsense.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay. Let me get back into the questions because y'all going ham in the comments. Let's see here. Do men equate independence with emotional unavailability or lack of need? I'll repeat that. Do men equate independence with emotional unavailability or lack of need?
Yes. So I think that if she has all this together, I think that there can be a standoffishness to her.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so she might, be so invested in her career that she has, they talk about the educated lame thing, right? The educated lame is a guy who spent too much time working on his career, going to school, in the books, whatever, and therefore doesn't develop the social capital in order to be functional, which women are looking for. They want a man who they can bring to the cookout and play spades with and all this other stuff, right? So women are the same way, right? So you can be so focused on doing your thing, as far as school, getting your education, getting your career, focusing on that you don't have any type of social skills in order to know what a man wants or to be able to deal with a man and be what a man is looking for his emotional or needs as well. So I think it goes both ways. So yeah, so a woman who has been focusing on a career and doing it, whatever, she may not have that type of emotional ability to relate to a man and to know what he wants. And that's why a lot of times they will lead a woman who is bossed up in her boss chickery, which I call it. I'm going to coin that term. In her boss chickery, she don't even know what a man wants. And that's why she's leading with the same thing. Well, I got a PhD. I'm a JD. I got this job. I'm a corner seat. That's male speak. That's man speak. This is what I do. Right. I can support you. Well, a successful man that you're looking for, presumably, don't care nothing about that. And that's why it sounds so diminishing to the ear to a woman to say, can you cook? Can you clean? Are you nurturing? Can you take care of my kids? That's what I want to know if you can do. Not that we want somebody who's going to be a slave in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant, but I want to know that you're nurturing. That's what I mean when I say it. I want to know that you're nurturing. I want to know that you can nurture my kids, and that when something happens to me, you can nurture me. That's what I'm looking for. That is the missing component from my life, and I would assume vastly other successful men's life, that they are so busy conquering the world that they need something soft and delicate when they come home to.
Okay, so when I heard you speaking, I heard you didn't say the word, but I heard a lot of her not being aware, so unawareness, right? And so how is her being unaware harming the relationship?
Because she's not providing what the man needs. If she is unaware of what the man needs, then it's going to take her, either she's not going to provide it or she's going to struggle to do that. Because if she hasn't been told by her mother, her aunts, what men want and what men need, then she's not going to be able to provide that. A big problem that Generation X was told, and that is really coming to head now, is don't need a man. And father said this too. And I'm guilty of this too.
Okay.
I told my daughter, you need to go make sure you become a strong woman. I don't know if I used the exact terminology, but you need to become this woman, get your education, so you don't need this. Now, when my daughter got a little bit older, 17, 18, I tried to backtrack from a lot of that.
Okay.
because I would hear her talking on the phone to these dudes. I'm like, good Lord, what did I do? I created a monster. But I wanted her to be tough, right? She grew up with two brothers in the house, right? So she got to fight and this, that, and the other.
Okay.
But at the same time, I want her to be soft and delicate. So this is the balance. And listen, I am sensitive to the balance that women are under. We started off the conversation with Black women, what they're going through. I'm sensitive to the fact that you may grow up, as a woman may grow up and never get married, and know who's going to take care of her. You can't just be the sleeping beauty, sleeping all day and waiting for Prince Charming to show up and kiss you and take you off into everlasting bliss. That's a reality of this world that we live in. So you have to I think New York Chocolate, I think it was her, to ask the question of how you strike this balance of getting your education but not being too overly dependent on a guy, right? So that was the Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, not Princella, princess treatment of years ago versus what women are dealing with now, and two parent incomes and et cetera, et cetera. So.
Okay, so I just wanted to clear the air. M. Soto said, what I hear you saying is let me poke as many women as I want while I decide which one I want. Okay. I don't know. I don't think he said that in any way. I'm just going to defend you, Doctor. I don't think he said that in any way. I don't know where you got that from, M. Soto. With all due respect, I just don't know where you got that from.
It's funny being a podcaster, right? Because people are saying things that I never said, and I used to take that personally. I used to go back and watch videos all over again. Like, when did I say that? I watch it again. I wasted 20 minutes because I ain't say that. So I'm gonna say I ain't say that respectfully, M. Soto. I didn't say anything close to that. When I didn't say anything close to
that. Okay, all right. We'll move on to the next one. Actually, I'm gonna ask the audience to comment in the comments. Have you dated someone who made you feel unneeded or like you couldn't contribute? So have you dated someone who made you feel unneeded or like you could not contribute? Yeah, you could put a comment in the comment section. All right, Doc, this one for you. How tied is a man's sense of worth to being needed, respected, or providing something in a relationship? And I think you kind of answered that without me asking this question. But if there's some new information that you want to add to that.
Repeat the question. Y'all hit the like button. Repeat the question, please.
Right. Okay. So how tied is a man's sense of worth to being needed, respected, or providing something in a relationship?
Yeah, those are inextricably linked. So you can't get away from one. So a man who has been taught masculine traits, alpha male traits, sigma male traits, taught to be the head leader of his community, the head of his household, et cetera, is going to think about protection, provision, and that's going to be tied to his ability to provide for his wife, for his children. And I don't see how you get around any of that. So
okay, all right, perfect. Does a woman's confidence challenge or complement masculinity in modern dating? Or confidence challenge or complement masculinity in modern dating?
I guess that would depend on what she's confident in and how I think it's dependent on how confident she is in what her craft is and what she's saying or doing and how she presents it. I think that there is a way that you can challenge that. I think there is a way that a woman can challenge a man's incorrectness when he's wrong, challenge him when he's wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think that has to be done softly, because again, going back to respect and loyalty, those are things that men want, right? We want to be loved too. I hear some men saying that, we don't really care about love. No, we want to be loved. I mean, we want to be loved. So respect, I think, is number one. So if you're challenging him, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You wrong. You always wrong. I know I should have never listened to you, right? My mama told me about you, or those types of things. Those types of things are definitely going to be a challenge to his masculinity. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be no challengers in the Hunter pride, in the Hunter household. There's no challengers there. So, but I do think that if I'm wrong, there's a way to tell me that I'm wrong. Baby, are you sure about that? Why don't we look at this together? Can we Google this? Are we sure about this? You know, all the time, you know that you're right. You know you're right. You know it, right? You know you're right. But there's a way to get him to acquiesce. There's a way to get him to look to re-examine his position. And I think a truly strong man will be like, "Oh, baby, you got it. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
So the softer approach,
So
like you
all day,
said, she
all day.
knowing automatically, damn it, I'm right. But you can't go in there like the bull.
Yeah,
you can't go in there like a bull.
That soft girl approach will have you bent over at night.
Oh, listen now. Listen now. I'm not even about to go there with you, okay? Let me see. Garrett, you on one tonight. Generally, men's confidence to women equals attraction. Women's confidence to men equals opposite. Again, generally speaking.
Yeah, it's going to depend on what we're talking about, and again, how you come off. I mean, I don't want an insecure woman, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with you telling me, listen, I'm the best thing you ever had, right? With a smile on your face, not with an attitude, right? Man, I put it on you tonight, right? That type of confidence is great, right? Nobody's whatever. Nobody's chicken is better than mine. You know it. It could be disgusting as what, but I appreciate that type of confidence, right? Right. And a guy, so you got to feed off of each other's energy. You have to be able to feed off of that. So
I like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's
you can use that. I'll give you permission to use that. Go ahead.
You know what? Give me permission, nothing. I'm done with you. How can women be powerful and leave space for a man to show up?
I think that's a question that you guys got to answer for yourself. I'm not a woman, but I think I probably said enough. Is if you're confident in your wrong or something, confident in what you're standing on, and the guy is wrong, be soft and gentle in your approach to leading him, guiding him to see the error of his ways. We gave the pickle jar example. We know you can do it. I know you can do it, right? So you have to, if you're not that way naturally, or it hasn't been told to you as a 12-year-old that this is what men are going to want, then you have to work on it. So they need to see coaches like you, V's in the chat. They need to talk to you guys and say, what am I doing wrong that is repulsive? It was in their chat by the guys, again, Garrett is saying, I think repulsive to men, right? And we are repelled by masculine energy coming from women. Let me say it again for the people in the back. A masculine man is repulsed by a masculine woman.
Yeah, you and I had a conversation, and I was saying essentially she's showing up and she's competing when she's doing all of that versus trying to connect with him.
Right. So the soft girl approach, as I mentioned, is the way to connect. Rubbing his back. There's ways to get things done. There's ways to get things done. I know you don't want to go there, but we'll keep this PG.
No, please go there.
When I said get you bent over at night, you were like looking at me like I was crazy. So.
No. Keep it PG. You're right. You're right. Okay, so this one you may be able to answer, and I know a lot of women would be interested in knowing what men are saying. What are men actually craving that strong women might be missing or even overlooking / unaware of?
Yeah, they're missing nurturing. They're missing femininity. That's what they're missing.
Oh, just period.
That's what it is. You don't have the soft touch. You can't come in with anger, coming in with aggression, coming in with masculine energy that you're not running a board meeting here, right? You're not doing any of that, right? So you got to be able to understand that feminine touch and batting of the eyes. This stuff was all innate, years ago. Putting your hand on your hips. Exactly what you're doing right there, right? All that kind of stuff, right? Hand, little, and you're doing it, right? And it makes a man melt. Why the ladies got away from that? It just confuses me. But that's something you guys got to work out amongst yourselves. There, it's crazy to me. it's crazy to me.
So what are your? You know what? I'm going down. Never mind. It's another rabbit. No, it's a whole nother rabbit hole. I'm not doing it. Let's talk about bridging the gap then. what would you tell a successful sister or woman who wants love but feels like her independence is working against her?
I would say that um, she has to work on her femininity. She has to understand what men want. She has to understand what men want. And after that, she has to understand what men want. So you have to, uh, um, what it takes, what a lot of women don't seem to understand is that there's different mating strategies for men and women. Women are looking for masculinity, dominance, aggression, assertiveness, uh, success. Those are the things that that women are looking for, and the women are making the mistake of thinking that if I have this, then I'll make a perfect match with someone else, with
Okay.
a man who has these qualities. But the man is looking for someone who's nurturing, feminine, fit, feminine, friendly, sweet, submissive, cooperative. Those are the things that he's looking for, and who has more nurturing skills at home. That's what he's looking for. Doesn't mean you can't be successful. Doesn't mean you should drop out of your MBA program. Doesn't mean any of that. Doesn't mean you can't. It doesn't mean any of that. But what he's looking for, what he's going to be attracted to, what's going to keep the butt slaps and bent overness, what's going to keep the intimacy going, is
Mhm.
that type of energy.
Yeah, I actually agree. So, pandering a business. I didn't say your name before, so pardon me. Pandering a business said they are missing that this is supposed to be a partnership, not a contest, to be the most powerful power couple on IG. Men generally don't post stuff.
Yeah, yeah. They say that, guys are not into that. The only reason I have social media, I cut my Facebook off for a long time. The only reason I have it is because because my business and all that, and I had to look up these videos. But otherwise, I wouldn't be on there. When I take vacation, people are like, how come you don't send us pictures? How come you don't put pictures up?
You sound like me. I be in the moment. I be like, dang, I forgot. Damn, I ain't taking no pictures.
Well, I take the pictures. It just ain't nobody knows. It's for me.
I, I forget, period. So you better than me to at least have the memory. I don't even have the memory. Anyway, okay. So what can men do to feel secure and needed without controlling or dimming her light?
That's a good question. What can men do? What can men do to say it again?
I'll say it. Yeah. What can men do to feel secure and needed without controlling or dimming her light?
I don't know if I can really answer about what to do to be secure and needed. I will speak to dimming her light.
Okay.
Um, I think if a man is dealing with a successful woman, know what you're into. I mean, you picked her. You picked the successful woman. So why would you say little snide remarks, right? So there's this new idea that I didn't know was a thing. And if you are dating a woman who's driving a nice car, got a nice house, lives in a nice neighborhood, you're like, okay, big money, I see you, big money. Right. I guess that's a turnoff to women, right? So that would be, I guess that would be an example of dimming her light. You never heard that? I saw it on
No,
Instagram, so I don't know.
yeah, don't
So
do that. Don't
yeah.
do that. Don't,
Oh,
no.
so you've seen that before.
I have not seen it, but don't do that. That is a turtle turn turn off.
Okay. All right. So I didn't know that was a turn off.
Mm.
I've never said it, but it was just something I didn't know that was a thing. So those are things that men should not do in order to dim their light. I think you got to, I think that ladies want to be told that they're special, good, loving. You did a good job, just like anyone else. So do those types of things. So
Mhm.
if you're the type of guy who is secretly jealous, here's a big thing,
Mhm.
right? If you're
Mm.
secretly jealous, if you are intimidated in the quote unquote red pill space, in the manosphere space, they will often say that men are not intimidated by a woman's success. No, I definitely think that there's some men who are intimidated by a woman's success. I definitely think that.
Mhm.
I definitely think that. And so, don't deal with a woman if you have these feelings. Check yourself. you think because of her success that she is going to treat you a certain type of way, or she's going to bring attitude or whatever, don't deal with it. You don't have to. Nobody put a gun to your head
It's
and
a
said you got
choice.
to deal with this woman. So you know she's a CEO. You see what type of car she's driving. Either you want to get in, or or just leave her alone. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that for sure. I dated a man who tried to dim my light, and I'm like, dude.
Okay, what did he do or say that was indications he was dimming your light?
So some of the stuff that you mentioned, we were afforded the same opportunity. So let me say that I took advantage of him, and he did not, because of where we met. And so I got my degree. He did not, for whatever reason. And when we were in relationship, he would bring up said degree, and that degree afforded me more money. Me, it was for us. That's how I've always been. It was an us thing. It was never a me thing and me trying to dim his light or emasculate him. However, it was something that was brought up frequently. And then when I got my nicer luxury vehicle, that was, and it's like, you know what? It was like you said, it was just those little snide remarks every once in a while where it started to become more and more, because I started to notice it more. And I was like, you should be the person outside of this relationship, because we ain't a good fit. We're not a good match, because you had the same opportunities and you're not dead. You can still go out and do these very things and get the thing that you think that I have that you secretly want.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So needless to say, we're no longer together.
Okay, big buddy. I see you, big money.
Shut up now. Where does the balance between self-sufficiency and interdependence really live, in your opinion?
Where does the balance between self-sufficiency
and interdependence really live?
That's going to be different for different people. I mean, you got to make it work in whatever's best for you. So, you know, I don't want to I mean, if you're too interdependent or independent or whatever, interdependent, you mean interdependent, you would depend on one another, right? Is that what you mean? Yeah. You got to make that work for you. I mean, I personally don't like a woman who doesn't have a hobby. I do not like being your entertainment. Don't come to me don't come to me talking about you bored. That drives me nuts. Because I have hobbies. I play chess. I got a YouTube. I got stuff going on. So I don't got time to stop what I'm doing to entertain you. So so figure it out. Figure it out.
I think that's something that a lot of people have to learn. And I will specifically even go as far as to say a younger person. That was something that I literally had to learn, me personally. Not to pretty much make him my entertainment, where he had to be with me all the time, doing all of the things, you know, wanted to be a part of, or being my hobby, if you will. Honestly, that was something that I had to learn, because I just didn't know. And you don't know what you don't know, right? You really don't know what you don't know. But also, it was something that I saw from my parents. They were with each other all the time, all day, every day. So what I was groomed to see was, I thought everybody did that.
Yeah, some of that stuff bothers me. I want to go to the store. I'm making YouTube videos. I don't have time to go to the store. Right. And then there's the secret of talk that I'm supposed to decode. Okay, well, go to the store. Well, I want you to come with me. Well, why didn't you say that? I can't deal with all that. I can't deal with all that. So,
well, do you find that some of the men that you're coaching are dealing with some of these very things?
we're all dealing with it. Oh yeah.
So besides walking away, how do you stop dealing with it? Like, is there a conversation to be had with her to say X, Y, and Z, this is what's going on, I'm pulling away because of this? Or is it just you just walk away?
I think the conversations that I have with them are, you got to have a conversation with your woman. I don't recommend pulling away from each other or dissolving the relationship over that. I mean, I would recommend, working it out. Okay. And, she needs more time from you. If it's just the little things that she needs more time, then you got to cut away, cut back on what you're doing to give her some time. There's got to be some give and take in all this. So maybe you're spending too much time making YouTube videos or work tinkering on your car or fixing engines or whatever. You got to cut out some time and make sure you have time for a woman. And I've noticed a lot of women now when I'm trying to date a woman, they're busy, right? It's like I gotta. It's crazy. Like I can't meet you tonight, but how about the third Wednesday in July? What are we talking about here, right?
That's too busy. That's too busy.
Too busy. Yeah, I got this. I got cooking class. I got dance lessons. Come on, man. What are we talking about here?
Okay, ladies.
Right? So these ladies, like I saw this, and this happened to me, right? So I hit this lady up like, listen, my plans canceled for tonight. I'd like to, I don't know, take you to dinner or whatever. You free? Listen, I need time. How about like next Tuesday? Listen, you're just too busy. Now I'm not. Obviously, that can't happen all the time, right? You definitely have to be respectful of somebody else's time. But another thing too is, it depends on what you're doing. Let's just say that I knew that you were going out with your friends on Friday night. I know you and your girlfriends are going to hang out, but my plans got canceled. Maybe I was going to go, I don't know, whitewater rafting, and and I got canceled.
Oh.
If I call you up and say, hey, listen, my plans got canceled. I know you're going out with your girls, and these are girls you see all the time. These aren't like some college buddies you haven't met in 20 years. These are just your regular girls. Would you cancel your plans for me? And if you wouldn't, here's the wants versus needs kind of thing. If you wouldn't, I'm talking about dating relationships. If you wouldn't, that tells me where I am in your hierarchy in life, how important I am. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, of course. But that's also something that I try to make the women that I coach aware of. You say that you want the love. Where is the room in your life for the love?
Yeah.
Where's the room? If your schedule is super busy like that, I get it. We're all busy. But if you're saying that you want to insert said person by your side, but every time, or I should say most of the time, it's you don't have to.
I can't see you tonight because I got yoga class. All right. Moving on.
Yoga's not important. Taking care of herself is not important now, Doc. Come on, man.
Listen, but hanging out with me should be more important than that. It should be. And if it's not, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna move on. We're talking about yoga. We're talking about yoga class.
Maybe she missed yoga all week, and here you come.
Then here's another night you got to miss it.
So because you already missed it twice, what's the third night?
What's the third night? Maybe we could do some stretching. Maybe. What are we talking about here? We're talking about building relationships, right? This is the priorities that we're talking about. You're a busy lady. You boss up. You got this going on, right? Now maybe your yoga is a nice night to relax and do your thing. But here come this man want to interrupt your stuff. Don't let me interrupt it. Matter of fact, you have the next 60, 70 years to work on your yoga.
Oh no, that's too much. Now let her get her yoga in. Okay, so let me ask you: is scheduling a thing of the past, if you will, or are you saying that she can't schedule something, but you're just talking about periodically if plans change, then try to be flexible? So which one am I?
Yeah, I think that if you're going to make a relationship work, then they have to be a priority. The person has to be a priority. So it should be, depending on your life, right? Obviously, your job's got to come first. Your family, you could put it probably your family first, your job, and then it's got to be the person you're seeking. I really believe that. And if you got other things, right? It's let's just say it's Thursday night, and Monday it's your box of wine night with your girls. Tuesdays your reading night, your book club night. Wednesdays Bible study. Thursday is yoga. And I call you up and I say, hey, listen, any of those nights.
Okay.
Right? Because none of that is family stuff. None of that is job stuff. It's not like, okay, it's Wednesday night is my, I'm taking a college class. I can't miss, I got to go to Wednesday night class. I'm not asking you to miss that, but I'm saying, hey, listen, my plans got canceled tonight. I'm free. Let me come over and watch a movie. You got to give that stuff up.
Mm. Well, Yoli got something to say. But Dr. L, you said you have things going on, chess, etc. So why can't women have stuff too?
But that wasn't what I said, Yoli. I
Well,
said
you did say you have hobbies.
I do, but I'm also saying that you got to give and take, right? So we're talking the hobbies I was talking about in a relationship. I'm talking about the beginning, so we're kind of bouncing around a little bit. I'm talking
Okay.
about the beginning of a relationship, a woman who's quote unquote high powered, successful. You want a man. I think one of the questions that led up to this is where's the interdependence, balance, and all that, right? How do
Mhm.
you How do you make this thing work? Well, how you make it work is becoming less busy. That's how
Mm,
you make it work.
mm,
So again, your job, your family, right? Taking care of your mother, your kids, whatever, however that dynamic works. Second is your job. You got to make sure you go to work, right? And I would also include school, right? If you need to go to, you need to write a paper for school to boss up, then do it, right?
that's
I'm not telling you to turn your paper in late to come have a date with me, but anything else after that, anything else after that
okay.
tells me that I'm not a priority. I'm going to come before book clubs, box of wine nights,
But that's
yoga
her self
class,
care. That's her self care.
chess, mask and face rub night.
Now you just making up stuff.
I'm making up stuff, but you get my point. And I'm even going to say this. It's got to come before church.
Mm, mm. Well,
Not
now.
not come before. I didn't say come before God or your relationship with God, whatever that looks like for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's got to come before church and that pastor. I
You
said
about
it.
to go down. Yeah, you about to go down another dark hole. I'm
I
waiting for
said
the
it.
comments. I said it. I said it. Let's break it up real quick. Sweet Tea said, Dr. L, you looking sexy, beard fresh and clean. Okay. Throwing it
Thank
out
you so
there,
much.
Sweet
Thank you.
Tea. Dr. L. Oh, wait, sorry. Yoli said, Dr. L, you have to be her yoga instructor.
This is what I'm
Okay.
saying. You got cooking night. You got salsa night. Listen, we salsa dance together. We got. You going to cooking class, French cooking class. Nah, we do this together. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, Miles Bachelor said Stedman don't have a problem with schedules. Okay, and Yoli said point taken, Dr. L. Okay, because we getting ready to wrap this up, but I have a few more questions.
Okay.
Um, let's do some takeaways because we're about to wrap this up. Before we wrap it up, in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. What's one thing you think that both sides could do better to meet in the middle? What's one thing you think that both sides could do better to meet in the middle? If you're just coming in, go ahead and give us some likes and obviously some comments, right? So we're about to wrap this up.
So the women, I think, have to understand what the men want. I think that largely they really don't know. I don't think that they've been taught or told for a long time, last 40, 50 years, what men want. So that's one of the biggest things is understand the femininity, understand your feminine power,
Mhm.
understand what it takes to get things done, understand what men are looking for. And I think that men should listen too. Uh, you know, when the 60s rolled around and no fault divorce rolled around, something like divorces increased by like 700% or something crazy like that. So I think the men ought to take a listen to that and say, how come these women don't want to be around us? So I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking a strong look at yourself and saying, what areas can I improve? Do I really have to come home and just crack a beer open and watch my wife wrangle the kids, or can I really help her out a little bit more? Right. So I think that both sides need to do some self-reflection in order to do what it takes to make the relationship last. And everybody's relationship is going to be different. So do what
Mhm.
it takes to make your woman happy within reason. I'm not saying, if your woman wants you to walk around with two hands all day uh, instead of your feet, that you got to do that. But, you know, but do what it takes to make her happy within reason, and she should do what it takes to make you happy. Right? You got to make it work. You got to work it. So
Okay. Okay. I definitely agree with making it work for your relationship. Everybody has something different that they're bringing to the table in their relationship. including your baggage. I would say that the awareness piece is something really big on both sides for sure. Unfortunately, we have a tendency to point the finger at the other person all the time, not realizing that we got some pointing back at us. So that self-reflection, becoming more aware of the things that you're doing, the things that you're saying, how you're actually showing up, the timing of the conversation that you're trying to have, right? There's just being aware of all of those things, as well as for women specifically, leaning into your femininity, not giving up your power, but understanding that there is a dynamic in the household. Specifically, when Doc was talking about the alpha and sigma male, learning how to lean into your softness and allow him to lead, but also understanding that he may be weak in some areas. Again, this is dependent of your relationship. He may be weak in some areas where you can and or are strong in those areas and can take the leadership in those areas. But by and far, in the relationship itself, the man is leading the family. I remember I was having a conversation with a gentleman, and I was asking him, where are you leading your family to? Where are you leading your family? Right. And he honestly looked like a deer in headlights. And so I know that we talk about submissiveness and the woman not being submissive and everything, but and if there is a direct question like that and you have no idea where you're leading the family, why would she follow you? Why would she follow? Right? So being aware is a big thing. Having a plan, right? I know we talk about purpose and stuff, and a lot of these things are newer, but the basis of it, the foundation of a relationship is really communicating. I know we talk about this, but seriously, communicating, having open-ended conversations, and even when you don't understand something, being willing to go back to the conversation and not just sweeping that thing up under the rug where there's no resolution ever. We have to get the resolutions, the solutions, being willing to go back and forth with the conversation, not in arguments, but literally trying to be curious so you can understand one another. I think that's one of the things that what we really need to be delving deeper into, trying to really understand the opposite person instead of blaming, shaming, making them feel a certain type of way. So is there anything, any other thing that you want to share, or a sentence of truth or even encouragement for women that are powerhouses navigating love and partnership?
I think that the work that you and others are doing is essential in this, because they seem to be lost. They don't seem to understand. They don't seem to understand what men want, why they're not getting the success that they are looking for. And I know that it's tough for them because they are at the pinnacle of their professions. They're looking for someone who's higher than them.
I'm sorry, I distracted you. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so I think that type of work is necessary, is essential, and I hope the women get great success. And let me just say to the this is not going to help a lot of ladies today, but if you want successful men, you got to make them now, right? The reason that there's a dearth of successful men, particularly in the Black community, is what I talked about before, and there hasn't been the investment in them. And we need to invest in them, and that's investing in families, changing the school system, changing the curriculums, changing who's doing the educating, changing the college environment, this woke stuff that's going on. Guys don't want to be a part of that. They don't want to be a part of that, for whatever reason. So
I actually seen this. It was a graduation, and I'm not sure if you saw this online or not, but essentially, I think it was in LA, if I'm not mistaken. But essentially, it was graduating. They were graduating Black men to be better fathers. I can't speak now. To be better fathers, and I think it was a couple hundred men, couple hundred Black men. They have a program up in LA. So, what do you think? Programs like that, are they essential?
oh yeah. I talked to I had another channel before I started this channel. It's called Captain Hunter's Podcast, because was a police captain. So, and I talked to two guys who did the term is escaping me, but rites of passage programs for men.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those things are needed in every city, every state, every county. I think that they, particularly for Black men, what it takes to be a man, what it takes to control your emotions. That's the emotional intelligence piece, right? What does it take to do all this type of thing? To be a father? What does it mean to stand up for people? How do we walk away from dangerous situations, right? Because the only rites of passage that we have, unfortunately, is either graduating from high school or it's matriculating into the prison system. And so we need something more that tells a Black man, in particular, here's what it takes to be a man, to be a protector, leader, provider, and be a father, what it means to understand finances, all that. We need that. We need that. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We need more of that for sure. I think that more men are coming on board, like they're waking up to the possibility, well, I'm not going to look weak if I go and get help in this particular area. And I applaud you men that are on that road of self-discovery and trying to become better in all areas of your life, because a lot of times we stop at one area or a degree or a career, or whatever. We stop the education piece at that. So I really I'm highly encouraged to see, again, that was, I don't even know, I think it was on Instagram, but I was highly encouraged to see that so many Black men, specifically in the LA area, had graduated to become better fathers, to, like you said, to break, and you didn't say this, but essentially they'll help to break these generational curses within our community. So if you're a part of that, I highly applaud you. If you are in a program like that, then I would, you can please put that down in the chat for some men who would like to join something like that. I actually don't know. I don't have that. I wish I did, but it just popped into my head. So anyway,
Yeah, it's actually a long-term goal of mine to maybe start one, or maybe start it with my son. He's about 28 now, so he's doing some things, and I'm 52. I'm on a downslide, so I want to kind of set other people up to do that, because I think it'll resonate more from a younger person. If they see my son's 28 now, so if we start it when he's 30, then he can talk to the 18-year-olds, and they'll listen to him more than this sexy gray bearded guy.
Okay, now you listen. you better do that. Oh no,
So,
I'm happy to hear that. I really am.
yeah.
Please let me, when you get it up and running, or when you start getting it, please let me know so I can spread the word. This is something that I believe is so needed. Oh, so needed. So before we go, Doc, let the people know they can follow you, and or do you have something coming up that you want to spread?
Yeah, so I don't post a lot on these different channels. So I am on Instagram, and my YouTube channel is Dr. L's podcast, Dr. Dr. period L apostrophe S podcast. Anybody out there who likes audio stuff, it's also on Spotify and any other place where you listen to podcasts. There's some older episodes where I'm talking about more police stuff, because again, I had Captain Hunter podcast, and now it's changed to Dr. L. So more of the newer stuff. If you guys are following me, you can listen to the newer stuff there. But also old stuff, right? About what's going on, police and George Floyd and all that kind of stuff. If you're interested in that type of thing, I do expert testimony work. I'm not sure how much longer I want to do that, because I want to travel. But people can hire me for that. If you are looking for a life coach, if you're a man struggling, you can hit me up on my email. We can set up some time to talk, half an hour a week, or whatever you want to do. And it's really just about, setting up goals and things like that. So that's I do a little bit of writing sometimes on Medium. I wrote a couple of blogs on Medium. I want to do one of those a week to Medium and Substack. So there's a lot of things I want to do, but unfortunately, the jobs that I have get in the way, right? Me teaching colleges, it gets all in the way of my fun stuff here. So those are some of the things that I do. But yeah, that I don't really post a lot on social media. So that's how you can find me in all that. So
Okay, so your primary contact is?
It's the email big L with two G's, BIGGL PhD at gmail.com. I have a few different emails, or you can go to Captain Hunter's podcast, or CPTL Hunter captainl@gmail.com. That's Captain L Hunter@gmail.com. CPTL Hunter. So either one of those are ones I check the most, but yeah, so you can check any of those, and just hit me up if you have show ideas you want me to talk about. There's a video you want me to look at. I am kind of backed up. I try to get to them, but I am kind of backed up. Yeah, so show ideas, send me a video, take a look at this, that, and I want to get out of the relationship stuff. It might not seem like it, but I do. I want to get into more political stuff. I want to get into more educational stuff. Yeah, I mean, I have a wide range of interests, but I just think that Black folks got to be more together before we move forward, right? So before we can really get into a lot of other things, economics and Bitcoin and other stuff like that, we got to get our families straight.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Doc. You have
thank you.
You had some encouraging words. Thank you for answering all of the questions and not going too ham. I appreciate you.
I tried. You reeled me in. You reeled me in. I appreciate that. And it's actually
I do PG. So
it's actually nice. It's actually nice to not have to worry about monitoring the chat and stuff. So I appreciate this. And I think I can give more coherent answers versus when I'm doing the talking and stuff, So yeah. I can try to sound a little more intelligent here. I can try to
Understood. Okay, y'all. Thanks so much for coming here, spending a few moments out of your day, evening, whenever you're deciding to watch this. Go ahead and like and subscribe to both of our channels. Look forward to more conversations like this, as well as content about relationships, even though Dr. L just dropped a bomb saying he want to move away from relationships. I wasn't ready for that. So maybe you weren't ready for that. But in any event,
I just want to talk about other stuff. I mean, I'll still talk about it, but like, oh man, oh man.
You don't want to be pigeonholed.
I do want to say thank you to seeing a lot of my audience here in the chat. So I really do appreciate those, all of you. And Rhonda is my ride or die. She's always awesome. Telling people to hit the like button and to appreciate the chats and the super chats. And I do want to say thank you to Mr. Stu for $4.99 super chat or whatever towards my yoga certification.
Yeah, that was fun.
I appreciate that. Thank you all. Thank you.
All right, y'all. Have a great night. See y'all next time.